I see, unfortunately, so many children ending up on unnecessary diet eliminations, which really hinders the healing that's happening on their skin as well as their growth and development. So, first, when we're talking about food, there is a difference. We can't talk about the food reactions without talking about the types of food reactions. So, we've got the IgE food allergies. If your child has a diagnosed IgE food allergy, you absolutely need to follow your doctor's recommendations as to whether or not those foods need to be kept out, because that is can be potentially life-threatening. That's a safety issue. IgE food reactions are the ones that can go into anaphylaxis. They typically can cause things like hives, swelling, trouble breathing, things like that. They can flare eczema, but they aren't necessarily what I would consider a root cause of a skin rash like eczema. So, food allergies, again, these IgEs, which if your doctor says keep them out, keep them out. What happens is that they trigger inflammation in the body. The reaction triggers inflammation. That inflammation can trigger an eczema flare. So they're two separate conditions. So a food allergy is not the same as eczema. So I like to point that out to people. So those are your IgE reactions. When we're talking about, and those typically happen, by the way, pretty soon after eating a food. So that would be like 10 minutes, maybe up to an hour. So if your child is reacting, and again, hives, swelling, trouble breathing, major flares within, less than an hour after eating a food, definitely talk to your doctor, see if they will recommend or think that you need food allergy testing. In the absence of food allergies, most of the food reactions that we're talking about fall under the food sensitivity category, which are those IgG reactions. So these reactions typically don't cause hives. They cause eczema flares. They can cause some of the, itching, allergy type, like maybe some stuffy nose or gastrointestinal symptoms, but they're not life threatening. These reactions tend to be delayed reactions. So this is where it might be a few hours later, but a reaction can be delayed up to 72 hours. So these are the reactions where I hear parents saying, well, I'm not sure, I can't tell. People start chasing histamines and salicylates and oxalates and all of these different, natural chemicals that are in otherwise healthy foods down rabbit holes. So what I tell parents is that if you aren't sure, if you can't tell, keep it in the diet, because it can be absolutely anything that could be flaring the reaction. It could also be a coincidence. So what these IgG reactions mean is that there is gut hyperpermeability or leaky gut. So when we'll go back to the gut microbiome for a minute here, because this relates to those IgG reactions. So when we have those different types of imbalances in there, what they start to do is create inflammation and irritation in the gut. And the gut is, it's what the gut lining is one cell layer thick. So it's kind of, if you think of it like this. And when it gets leaky, we start to get this. So this is where food particles that are too large to get into the bloodstream can create inflammation, trigger the immune system, we get a reaction. This is also actually a mechanism for the development of IgE food allergies, by the way. The other mechanism for development for that, the primary one, is through a broken skin barrier. Back to IgGs. So the IgG foods can get into the bloodstream and trigger these reactions. The other thing that I think is so interesting about this is that all of those gut microbes, even the good ones in there, die all the time. They're little organisms. They have very short lifespans. So when they die, they're releasing toxins. Those are also coming out through here. Digestion alone creates a die-off of those microbes that peaks a few hours after eating. This is like the same time frame that we might have a delayed food reaction. Is it the food? Is it toxins from the microbes? It could be either. So we don't know. So if there are these delayed reactions and you can't tell or aren't sure if a food is causing the problem, I recommend to my clients to add those foods back in. More often than not, I hear people say, well, yeah, I took the foods out, but I haven't noticed a difference. If you haven't noticed a difference, add them back in. It's not the problem.
Okay. So kind of like just keep moving forward. Don't create other issues, nutrient deficiencies, other issues by restricting. And there's other things you're wanting to focus on.
Mhm.
than potential food sensitivities.
Mhm. I will say one more thing too about the food sensitivities, because this is important also. And a lot of other practitioners, even holistic practitioners, say food sensitivity testing, that IgG food sensitivity testing is very popular. All it's going to tell you, and I don't recommend it to my clients, all it's going to tell you is that there are a lot of food sensitivities, which means this is happening in the gut. So this is already happening. The food sensitivities aren't causing that. So taking the foods out isn't going to heal this. And because this is still happening, more and more foods over time are going to become reactive. So the gut is not leaky because of food sensitivities. There are food sensitivities because the gut is leaky, and the gut is leaky because of the imbalances in there.